let's firstly begin from this decision, this partnership, or rather collaboration that has been made or done between the Zambia Police Service and in producing this particular module. Why exactly has TIZ decided to partner with the Zambia Police on this?
Thank you so much. So to start with, most of our interventions that we work with or that we implement with our public institutions are being informed by the research that we do. So we usually conduct after 2 years what we call the Zambia Bribe Spares Index, and this particular index ranks the public institutions in terms of their vulnerability when it comes to receiving a bribe or being corrupt in their practice, or when they are offering a public service to the general citizen. So what happens is that after we rank these public institutions, we then pick those that are most vulnerable, and we then collaborate to come up with what we call strategies that we can implement to try and curb corruption in these public institutions. So when you look at the 2019 Zambia Bribe Spares Index, Zambia Police is one of those institutions that ranked highly in terms of receiving bribes when they are offering public service to citizens. So what we have decided is to come up with a memorandum of understanding with the Zambia Police so that we can try and come up with different interventions that we can be able to implement in that particular institutions to try and curb corruption. So particularly, we have come up with what we call integrity tools. And as we speak right now, Zambia Police has been supported with what we call the Code of Ethics. We have got the gift and whistleblower. We have got this particular training module, the ethics module that has been produced, that is going to be rolled to different training schools for the Zambia Police. So we believe that for us to be able to instill the nature or the understanding that these police officers have to operate with high levels of ethical standards, we believe that maybe we need to start at the point when they are being recruited. And the more reason we decided to come up with this ethics module so that it can be rolled to different training schools. We believe that by the time these recruitees will be graduating from their respective institutions, at least they will have had a feel of what particular strategies are supposed to be implemented in order to curb the high levels of corruption in this particular public institution.
All right, Mr. Chimuka, so you discussed how you obviously have done research. Research was conducted in order to then find that perhaps there was need in order to partner with ZP to implement this ethics training. However, why does TIZ need to be directly involved rather than presenting the evidence to state, this is what we found, these are the loopholes within your service, and this is what you need to fix? What will TIZ bring that the Zambia Police can't already implement on their own?
Transparency International Zambia is an organization that is involved in the fight against corruption. And when you look at, for example, the National Anti-Corruption Policy, of course, that came to an end probably around 2015, somewhere there. The fight against corruption, of course, involves everyone. And for us as Transparency International Zambia, we believe in the systemic approach in the fight against corruption, meaning that everyone has to be involved. And for these public institutions, of course, for TIZ to come up strongly or to weigh heavily in terms of coming up with interventions, is because of, like I've mentioned, the research that we do, the Zambia Bribe Spares Index, and also the other research that is done at an international level, which is the Corruption Perception Index. So when you look at, for example, for the past 5 years, the situation as far as corruption is concerned has always been worsening in Zambia. So this is where Transparency International Zambia is coming in to ensure that we do capacity building, or what we call institution strengthening, to these public institutions that are most vulnerable when it comes to issues of corruption. So we are coming from that angle to ensure that we are directly involved as far as institution strengthening is concerned to these public institutions. And for us to decide that we pick up Zambia Police, is because of what I earlier mentioned, to say that for the past two Zambia Bribe Spares Index we have conducted, Zambia Police has been ranking the first. So we think that if we are directly involved in trying to implement some of these interventions or to support them, I think it can go a long way to try and curb corruption at an institutional level.
You speak of capacity building here, and it's understood that why you're doing this. But when you speak of bribes, it is done from two ends, the one that is receiving and the one that is giving. Now, it's understood that you're obviously working alongside the Zambia Police on this, but how then do you also sort of help the public understand why bribes should not be done?
Yeah, definitely. It's a two-way kind of an approach that we are using. Like I mentioned, to say we are actually following what we call the systemic kind of an approach in the fight against corruption. This is because corruption happens everywhere. So what we are doing is that we strengthen the institution, but we also involve the general public in trying to see how they can access a service from a public institution without paying any bribe or without corrupting somebody. So we produce what we call the service charters. These service charters outline the stages or the procedure that a citizen is supposed to follow for them to be able to access a service. Let me give an example. For example, if you want to access a police bond, okay, we have gone ahead and produced these posters that show the right procedure that you are supposed to follow as a citizen for you to be given a police bond. So basically, even the amount of money that you are supposed to pay, if it requires you to pay, it's highlighted in these service charters. So not only have we done this for Zambia Police, we have also done this for the judiciary itself, where we have come up with different service charters for the local court, the High Court, the Supreme Court, and the Constitution Court, so that citizens are aware of the procedure and the process that is supposed to be followed without them being exploited in terms of being requested for huge sums of money.